and then you shift into a fifth dimensional reality, and you're breathing from what we call the bones. You're breathing from the blood. You're breathing from the universe. You're breathing from consciousness. You're breathing from beyond the dimension of the dimension of the dimension, beyond the dimension. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. Come on in, you beautiful beings. To my divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to all. Top of the morning to you. And I'm your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn. Well, what do we have here? Another incredible day. It seems like we're in some type of like deja vu moment, perhaps Groundhog Day of perfection, maybe? I'm not sure. What do we call this? It's a simulation of it must be good to be me.
Paradise.
Paradise it is. What an incredible place.
Mm-hmm.
And we went over some really profound things last podcast. Now that we're doing, working with Latsu and doing channeling with him, and then we're also, going to put out some more mid-form and start doing some Mandarin stuff, bringing that in more on the profound universe that we operate in, that some people may forget is the sole reason why we exist. You are the universe is you. So I think what was quite interesting most recently is all the things that we've put out in relation to respiration and breathing, and how that seems to be such a interesting topic, a quick go-to for most people, because I think you'd find it really hard to find anybody that hasn't,
Taking a
breath of any kind on the planet Earth. So it's sort of like a universal thing that you're able to have something in common with, perhaps, per se. Take a breath, take it easy, relax.
But because I think it is so universal and we do it so often, so unconsciously, like we do take it for granted a little bit, or we're so, it's so in the back of our mind that we never kind of bring it to the forefront to think like, okay, how am I breathing, or how is my breathing affecting me, or how can I change it to be better?
Right.
It's such an autonomous thing that it, like, when we give like these little breath techniques, and people are blown away because the energy is so powerful behind it, and they're like, how are you doing this? Like, how is this so simple? I'm just breathing. And it's like, I think it's that simplicity is such a people just don't even realize.
Yeah, I mean, Taoist practices we have. I mean, I'm gonna stop at a couple of thousand, but I mean, there are, because that's the gatherer. One of the two major practices of Taoists is Nigong and Qigong. And Qigong, you move energy with your breath. Nigong, you move energy with your mind. And these practices are integrated into our everyday life, all day and every day. That's the very essence of all things that we do. So understanding those fundamentals, and that qi to a Taoist is the 0 point energy, which is the quantum, which is the field, which is the universe, which is Tao, which is God, which is all things. And so when you look at it like that, you have this incredible gathering. And so it's like instantly you put your intention with respiration, and as you master the 50 trillion cells that are, what you consider your physical body, you are able to move that energy any way you want. And when you're doing that, you're able to have profound effects. So you're going deep into the autonomic nervous system. You're going into the hardware or the soft technology, which is the neurology of the physical body. And once you pass that threshold where you're now slipping from conscious to subconscious to unconscious, 3 shifts of gears of operation. And when the ultimate goal as a Taoist is, 2 sides of a mountain, yin yang, and you head up top that mountain and you want to hit that peak, which makes you one with all. And so the idea of having a polarizing, positive or negative becomes irrelevant, because we're no longer, operating as part of or separated from everything as whole. And so when you're looking at respiration, we just put out something that, went pretty viral on accessing your pineal gland. It's very effective Taoist technique. It takes about 3 seconds to do it. And, everyone had to chime in with, it's good, it's bad, it's amazing, don't breathe like that, this is good, this is bad. Understand this, know this to be true. Don't be limited by physiology. Don't be limited by psychology. Don't be limited by biology. Understand, or neurology. Understand this is nothing more than a baseline. When you get a book or you're being told that this is the system, that's the starting point. Just because they discovered, a DNA strand back in the 60s, all of a sudden that's a revelation and realization that, there are more mechanisms to this flesh and blood that you see before you. Understand that that's just a turning point, yes, and we understand on a deeper level the genome, the epigenetic expression, the realization that when you activate a protein and you're able to reveal that RNA strand, which is basically a photocopy of your DNA, and then you're able to tweak and literally turn on and off your gene expression with your attention, intention, your thoughts alone, profound things take place. Now, from a Taoist, we're consciousness, as is the pinnacle and the idea of all things, for most people. And you start there. From a Lao Tzu, it's concept, consciousness, knowing, unconscious knowing, being. And so, ultimately, respiration is so powerful. It's one of the most powerful tools that Taoists use with Nigong, Qigong and Nigong. What people don't understand is there are endless amounts. As you're...
What do they say? The limit that you can hold your breath, or like you said, don't be limited by what you've book read. Like in the Navy or whatever, they say like you can hold your breath up to like 5.5 minutes or something, and then if you don't get the oxygen to your brain,
It's actually about 4, supposedly.
4, yeah, something like that. But I mean, there's been free divers, David Blaine, all these multiple people who've held their breath, minutes longer, not even seconds, minutes, tens of minutes longer than that, and that transformation, and have come out perfectly fine. And the training system of being able to hold your breath for a certain amount of time, it doesn't have to be limited by, the research they've done in a book or or put out, however many years ago.
So, this is correct. Understanding that, and David Blaine's a great example. I love David Blaine. He goes beyond the limits of mentalism, illusion, magic. He really is very unique and doesn't limit himself by mechanisms of psychology, hypnosis, and basic mentalism, which is just all mind magic trickery. When you refer to mentalism in relation to truly where the source of that actual name came from, being Hermetic principles, that's just basically a reflection of understanding that, as a Taoist, it would be the Shen, as a Hermetic a law, which they've claimed it as, one of the laws of the universe is the mind is the universe is the mind, which would refer to you are the field is you, etc., etc., etc. Understanding that all things are as one. You are just sitting at one end of the table, I'm at the other, and your perception of your reality is your consciousness, and there is no right or wrong way to look at anything. Leveling up on that is how you go deeper on the power of breath. And so, we have all these pinnacle turning points where, people are using respiration to heighten their sense of consciousness, accessing the autonomic nervous system deep inside the brain, or the conscious, the unconscious. Now, Taoists, using these practices for, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. As I said, there are thousands of different breathing techniques. And we use, primordial breathing, embryonic breathing. Well, Sifu, what does that mean? That kind of sounds embryo. What is that? Is that like a baby? Is that like, what does that mean? Is that, what? Yeah. When you understand that you are the universe is you, when that truly captures your consciousness and you turn that dial up, respiration is consciousness. That means all the things that you materialize or you imagine in your mind is not within this, it's all things. Your perception is you believe you're creating these images in your brain because your eyes are here, and the simulation would lead you to believe that it's coming from in here that's creating your reality. And so the breathing component is so powerful, and I've got to tell you, there's no right or wrong way. Mm-mm. And so you get someone like Wim Hof, for example. I'm using him because I actually really enjoy his stuff, and he's a very humble, very sharing, very loving
energy
being, and he shares so much. And then you get people that want to trash him, they want to trash his methods of breathing. Listen, but he reminds people, and I will remind people, there is no right or wrong way. Mm-mm. You just get the air in and you get the air out. Oh, you got to breathe through your nose, you got to breathe through your mouth. Listen to me. When someone uses book read, activate your parasympathetic, activate your sympathetic, that's how you're going to roll things out, and you're going to come from a very limited perspective. When you level up on your consciousnness, that respiration are all things. We use different techniques. You may breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. That's for like 1 picosecond. Then you shift into a fifth dimensional reality, and you're breathing from what we call the bones. You're breathing from the blood. You're breathing from the universe. You're breathing from consciousness. You're breathing from beyond the dimension of the dimension of the dimension, beyond the dimension. That's where you're breathing from. You're no longer breathing from what you would perceive as your lungs using the respiration of your nose and mouth to realize, expelling of, certain toxins, inhaling oxygen, exhaling carbon monoxide. All that stuff is
Yeah, I mean, it's limited by the very science of it. And as Taoists, we speak the energetic language, we speak the feeling language, and so that doesn't have to be limited by the scientific language of, you breathe in through your lungs, you breathe out through, your mouth, and it's like that's where all the air gets transferred. It's like we look on it on a much deeper level.
Well, like Jade said, it's that we always stress the feeling, the kinesthetic response, because that's critical. But it's about understanding that this is all things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are breathing from your bones, primordial breathing, embryonic breathing, which is a classic one, that means you're breathing from your blood. You're breathing from your body. You're not breathing from here or here. You're breathing from all things. And there's a certain shift. Like there's a specific practice that I get a lot of my students to start, and it embodies a bagua, which is part of the ancient geometry, sacred geometry. You form the structure of the sacred infinite flower within the bagua. You then form and lay out the 81 directions, and then you form and lay out the 81 elements, and then you form and lay out the 81 frequencies of yang, the 81 frequencies of yin. Then, once this has been constructed, you will face in a south direction, and you will move around this bagua clockwise fashion at a pacing and leading of 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. And you will do a full lap of this bagua, and that's 1,000. 2 1 1,000, 2 1,000. In that cycle, and you will count to 81 without taking a breath, moving at the same time. Now, anybody who starts this practice, and it's a very, very powerful magnetic, energetic charge. It's like part of the chi packing and practices of our longevity, which most Taoists will do on a daily basis, just leveling up their jing, right? At first, your fight or flight mechanism limits you at a fear of lack of, which fear is basically your response to lack of, or what you perceive as lack of. And as you move into it, the movement in of itself, you will start breathing from the field, because you are the field. And all of a sudden, you're operating without the physical breath of your mouth or your nose. You're breathing from your bones. You're breathing from the field. You are the field. And it's a really profound shift. To describe it in words is there's a certain point where you just move past the physical into the metaphysical, into the spiritual, the highest level frequency of consciousness, and you're just breathing from up there. That's it. And understand this, we're shifting in all these gears because consciousness is all things. And you say you shift from, say psychic, clairvoyant senses to psychic readings to, intuition, channeling, mediumship, all these different variations that people have. It's all the same. And people want to measure it for themselves. So, understanding once you access that consciousness, you can call on whatever information you want, and it will be received instantaneously. And that's a powerful part. It's a very powerful component. So when you're doing the laps around the sacred infinite flower within the Bhagwar, using the 81 directions, 81 elements, you will move past it. So it's like being reborn. How I would describe it is, has anyone ever heard of a second wind? You got you worked all day and you're doing all this stuff out in the garden or whatever you were doing, some manual labor. And then you took a second, and then all of a sudden, whoa,
you
recharge yourself. Well, when you hit that threshold past the fundamental basics of human respiration, profound things take place. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's like, blammo.
It's like that perfect moment where you transition, like if you've ever watched like the wrestling where they put them in like the chokehold.
Yeah.
And like you can like almost time it where you can see that moment where they dip out of their kind of consciousness into their unconscious and then go to sleep. But there's like a couple seconds there where you can go, it was right there, that moment. Yep, they dipped out and they just went, oh, I'm in dreamland. And then, they're asleep again. But it's kind of like that.
It's an opening.
Yeah.
I will explain it to you like this. You literally feel like you're suffocating for a fraction of a second, and you got past this threshold, and it's as if you're just your whole cavity or lungs or mouth just opens to an endless channel of oxygen and breath. Instead of it being contracted where you are very limited, once you hit that threshold, and I would say, having trained in this for decades and decades and decades, I hit that around the 18th cycle of that sacred infinite flower. And then it just breaks free, and you're just free as a bird. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, every lap that you do around that sacred infinite flower, that Bhagwar, you become even more open, even more conscious. And it's like you can just put your attention to anything, drop it to whatever it is, and breathe from it. You drop your attention to Mars and breathe from Mars. You drop your attention to the sun. You breathe from the sun. You drop your attention to your favorite street where you used to live when you were a kid. And so there's this level of consciousness that goes beyond traditional out-of-body experience, astral plane projection, these two ways of obtaining supposed fifth-dimensional reality. And you hit it there. And then all of a sudden you're spirit projecting instantaneously, zooming to whatever it is, whenever it is, however it is, and you're obtaining that access of energy, information, and then light. And so you breathe from it. It's really profoundly liberating. It's like an expansion. When you sort of put in your time and attention to something, mastering something, and you hit that pinnacle, that little piece, and bam! And you're like, I got it. And of course, obtaining that type of level of consciousness and frequency, what happens is, well,
it's addicting.
Yeah.
That feeling of getting to that point and knowing that you're there in it.
Well,
it's you want to keep.
Well,
you
yeah,
want to keep doing it.
You keep leveling up. You level up and you level up and you level up. And I mean, the first time people do the Way 126, they're like, how could I can't breathe that long. I can't inhale that long. There's a period of calibration where we're calibrating, upper, middle, and lower Dantian within the experience. And you do this every time before you do the experience. And as you synchronize the brain, the heart, and the gut, people are like, there's no way I can't do it. And literally, most people will get it the first time and go, I had no idea I could inhale that long. How is that possible? I had no idea I could exhale that long. How is that possible? You're welcome.
Yeah. No, I was that person. I always, like, if you told me to hold my breath and then I thought about it, it was like I could maybe get 5 seconds, and it was like that instant fight or flight would come in. I'd feel like, the lump in the throat, like I couldn't breathe. I have to take a breath. It's, and then doing all this practice and the training, the mastery, getting past that point. And like, I know that feeling now when like I enjoy holding my breath.
Yeah.
I enjoy that, because it is there. It's like it almost feels like it's like a fill up. It's like just a big fill up of energy. And you feel it, and then you don't have that fear anymore. You've got past it. You've got this knowing now, hey, I can hold my breath for 18 seconds, 27 seconds, 36 seconds, however long you're working within your cycle. And it's like, it's exhilarating.
And the limit really is you, right?
Right.
So you have certain techniques where they're expelling, the CO2, right? That's really the priority. When you see someone like a David Blaine, he'll talk about how for him to do a feat where he's underwater for X amount of minutes, it's to expel this from his blood and get as much oxygen in as possible so that he can keep his blood oxygenated so that he can endure a long period of time. Well, that is true. Once you master it the Taoist way, all that thought is null and void. I would have to say, if I had to be conservative, I've gone upward of 20, 30 minutes. That's bullshit, seafood. No. I'm very serious. I bear witness to, but you have to understand this. This is not me. This is me. There is no resistance. For you to obtain that level of consciousness, you are not holding for dear life. You have mastered the respiration of the universe. And that is how you're obtaining this. And so I saw David Blaine earlier this year, and he held his breath for the audience just over 18 minutes underwater.
Amazing.
And he was almost dead. Like, there's no question about it. Like, and I mean, I think his record was 40 minutes or something of that nature. And you just move with it. There's no bar for me. I go through my training. My teachers give me my training. I work through it. And there's no limit or there's no excess. There just is. And as you continue to move through and you master your sensory perception, there will be no limit. All bets are off. All different types of levels. And that's just part of the mastery.
Yeah, and it changes. It can change daily, depending on where you're at or what you're trying to achieve or what you're looking for. Some days it might be, I held my breath for 30 seconds, and some days it might be I hold my breath for 3 minutes, and the next day it's 30 seconds again. It's all perfection. There is no right, like we said before. There is no right. There is no wrong.
Booyah. So yeah, but you get there were a lot of people making a lot of money out of there's two things that they used. The first word is breath, and then their admission of something almost unobtainable. They used the word work. See, if you understand anything about the cultivation of consciousness, coincidence, universe, first of all, there's two things that I would love to have any sort of like healthy exploration of. There's two things that I will not submit to when you understand the universe. What are you laughing at?
Oh no, just
Well,
I will submit you.
well, I will submit you, but there's two things I will not submit to. One is the word work, and two is the word lore.
Yeah.
See, this is where a lot of people sort of almost like sort of double negative on their rhetoric when it comes to talking about, the universe in of itself. I can promise you, when the Tao created the universe, it didn't say, "Ooh, let's create a lore around that." This is, of course, some sort of man-made construct to refine a submissive limit of your own consciousness. Understand that, know that to be true. Let me repeat that one more time. It is a word that defines a limit that you submit to within your own conscious awareness that is now a boundary of your reality. Just it's the same as when you talk about karma. Karma. Let me say it one more time. Karma. Karma in of its karma. Yeah, right, lad, right. Oh, that's bodgy, mate, bodgy. It's bodgy, lad. Oh, that's poo. Yeah. Anyway, I'm doing a little
And
Australian.
your Aussie's coming
I'm doing
out.
a little Australian right here. Anyway, understand that. Once you ponder that for a minute, because so many people use it, there are really profound, insightful visionaries that have their practices for manifestation and universe have moved well beyond their physical bodies, and they are being used time and time again all over the internet in teaching people how to perceive their manifestation skills, their healing skills. Yet I'm not going to submit or subscribe to a man or realm of man word like lore. And when you look deeper at that, you will take a second and go, wow, Sifu's kind of right. What? And listen, I reference Hermetic principles. I call them principles, but most people call them the laws of the universe. There is a law of the universe. Listen to that. Know that to be true. Hey, look. Everyone has their own. We're all sitting at the table. How I'm sitting at the table as opposed to how Jade's sitting at the table or how you're sitting at the table is truly up to you. It's limited by you. So we don't have to go into, well, is that right? Is that wrong? There is no right or wrong. I'm just bringing perhaps another perception or viewpoint of, hey, that's probably why every time I use the law of attraction or the mentalism law or the laws of this or the laws of that, the laws of the universe, they never seem to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about it like that, Sifu. Yeah.
No, and the linguistics is so important.
Well, the linguistics is everything because that's what's resonating within the very DNA that you are using in your reincarnation right now in this lifetime. And that gravitates. So that may gravitate you to the law of attraction. That may gravitate you to the laws of the universe because that's something that you used in a past life and you're using it again in this life. I would say to you, if you're processing certain things and you find that when you use the laws of the universe that they're not rolling out the way you want them to, you would probably pause for a second and go, Sifu has a really good point there. Now, I use them as reference too because most people speak on indigenous practices, and I would say there are some really profound thought leaders within the area of consciousness today that I really admire. I think they're brilliant, and they're really putting out the message of consciousness. They are still very unfamiliar They speak on all these ancient indigenous practices, sacred stuff, ancient, prayers, all this kind of stuff. None of them speak on Taoism, because I understand why. We're very, very secretive. We're very misdirectional. And, having this being a Taoist priest in this lifetime and many lifetimes before this, as priests, as immortals, we can go down the gamut. Let's just say the last 27, 36 lives before this one. It's just part of what we do, and it's also integrated into the Chinese culture. Is going deeper into things, and they're never as they seem, which makes it really powerful, and it's kind of exciting. You kind of feel like you're Sherlock Holmes. Elementary, my dear Watson. And I enjoy that. When I get the secret sauce, but there, I was listening to an interview just the other day of a particular Taoist, I don't know what, I guess he calls himself a Grand Master of something, I don't know, whatever it is. And he's speaking on things. The biggest, I guess it was almost like as if the person he was talking to had never seen this before. Now, this guy was a parapsychologist, and this guy was, a self-proclaimed Taoist master, Grand Master, whatever. But he was speaking on something that was a little bit more contemporary, even though nothing is contemporary, understand this. When it comes to energetics, when it comes to just the word hypnosis, is so ancient. Yet if you reference it back in history, because people can't get any sort of relevant parallels within Taoism, they fall upon, it came from basic ancient Thoth, mind magic and manipulation, and, consciousness cultivation is where most people would reference hypnosis from. 4,000 years in Egypt, da-da-da-da-da. Listen, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, this is beyond. It's called within Taoism, we have a ritual. It's called absorbing of the riches, and that is sort of like the first entry point of a level of consciousness, which you could define as trance, that would bring you to a point. And again, tens of thousands of years old. And so hypnosis is really a shift of consciousness. So let's just be very clear. You're just obtaining that very quickly, depending upon how you're able to access it. Anyway, this particular guy was talking to this parapsychologist about something that was a very basic, practice of hypnosis, but he made it sort of lure it to something else. And, there was a level and degree of, I would validate of it being true, that it was some form of mirror magic, because we use mirror magic all the time within Taoism. He called it black mirror magic or something to that degree. And I thought that was really interesting because, this is where nothing meets in the middle. I have this conversation a lot with quite a few different mentalists, magicians, hypnotists, illusionists, entertainers per se, and they have this, bag of tricks that they've gathered from psychology, from, levels of hypnosis, and then have integrated, basically sleight of hand and other things to manipulate your perception, so you can do things like reverse hallucination. And that's a simple, basic understanding of how to hypnotize someone into believing something's not in front of them. Literally Who hasn't had that happen? What is that? What is Sifu? What do you mean? Reverse hallucination? What
Yeah.
is that? Have you ever, I'll tell you what, I guarantee you're already a master hypnotist. What are you talking about? What happens is the second you're, remember this, the second you're emotional, you're suggestible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what does that mean? I've heard you say that 100 times. Well, this is how, this is the fastest way to get into the gateway of your unconscious and level you up. So just imagine, it's like, look over here, look over here. The second you are sort of emotional, you are suggestible. That means that your unconscious is open to all things. What? Sifu, what are you saying? Well, why do you think you turn the TV on and the news goes, at 5 o'clock, 27 people were hurt in this incredible eruption that was an earthquake that had never been seen in California. And you're like, oh my goodness, I live in the hills of Appalachia, but it doesn't matter because it's an earthquake in California. I'm afraid that I might find that I'm going to have an earthquake here because of the rippling effect of the emotional output that was given to you by the news host. It affects your field instantaneously because that's the whole purpose of it, because we're all interconnected. We are as one. That emotional content affects yours. The second someone gets your attention, you're suggestible. The second you validate it by looking at them, you're now very suggestible, and they're able to access your unconscious. That's how it works. And so you have all these different sort of linguistic programming that, has been coined that way. Language, words, letters, numbers, symbols are thousands of years old that we've been using for thousands of years. But because I guess we've got to be blown away that back in the 70s, a psychiatrist, a therapist, and a hypnotist got together, and then they decided that we've all of a sudden broken the code that has never ever been realized by the human race that's been going on for over 200,000 years, but it's now being labeled as this, and that's how people reference it. And most mentalists, magicians, or hypnotists would use this sort of language, which is called NLP, NeuroLinguistic Programming. Okay, so what does that mean? Neural, it's your nervous system. Linguistics is language, and you're programming that. And how is that being realized? It's because you're using the rippling effects of your connection with each other, because we are all the field. They're accessing that 0-point energy, and by suggesting something, evoking your emotions, it's as if you want to use the visualization of this. The second someone makes you emotional, your veil is pulled back, and someone can just reach into your brain and put in whatever information they want. What?
Yeah.
What? Now listen, understand this. This is like a mechanism that marketers and megalomaniacs and dictators and politicians and all these types of people have been using for a very long time. The easiest, most benign version of this would be you going to a concert. What do you mean, Sifu? Well, you go to a concert, you're there for one reason. So there's like a check-off list that most of these guys will go through. If you validate that you're going to the concert to, for example, Pink, who I used to be a fan of, not anymore. Anyway, she was in Allegiant Stadium, and we were downtown, whatever. Pink, boom. That's one. You've accepted that. That's your consciousness accepting that. Boom. 2, you're going to the concert. You go inside the concert. That's 2. 3, you're sitting in your seat. You are now validating enough times through this synchronizing of the rippling effects of you being at one with this field, right? The second you synchronize and you start to feel the energy, your compliance has revealed your unconscious. Now you're going to accept anything and everything. It could be, she could be a little dot in front of you and you've got nosebleed seats and you're as happy as a pig in doo-doo enjoying this concert because you've already complied with the three yeses that are necessary to access your unconscious.
Mm-hmm. And she could be like, everybody in the audience, clap. And
Right.
you're like, yeah, I'm on
yeah.
it.
And
I'll
you
do
feel
it.
that ripple.
Put your phone up.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
I'm on it. Put your lighter up. Yep, I'm doing it.
Right, and this
You know?
is the rippling effect. She's literally a master hypnotist. She's a master manipulator. She's a master, because this is the rippling effect. And this comes back to your neurology, right? So what's going on is the mirror neurons within her brain are affecting the mirror neurons within the 50, 100,000 people that are in the stadium listening to her very music, and the sound is rippling through their bodies at a cellular subatomic level, affecting them to the very beat of the music. Who hasn't been there?
Yeah.
Who hasn't experienced that? Of course you have. Whether you're watching it on television or you're in the audience at a concert, what's the difference? Nothing. When she hits that favorite song and that peak of that song, you are absolutely elated. You feel the energy running through you at that peak. When she switches that creativity on and the sound and music that she's created, the peak of any song that she's made that is, classics, that's when she hits that gamma frequency that we talk about. The gamma brainwave frequency, 40 hertz and above, is her transmission to the field, which is the universe, and that's imprinted till the end of the existence of our reality. That means forever. So if you're able to synchronize with that frequency, which you do when you listen to, oh yeah, and then my favorite, the chorus, oh yeah, that is where the magic time goes. That means you're effectively accessing that gamma brainwave, which makes you envelop. That means your brain is 100% conscious. That means that you can change anything at will, heal anything at will, manifest anything at will, create magic at will, because that's the state you're in. You are coherent. You are synchronized. Your heart, your brain, your gut is synchronized with the earth and the universe, giving you the ability to give yourself an instant physical healing. Give yourself an instant mental, emotional healing. Give someone else a mental, emotional healing. Give someone else a physical healing. Create a manifestation, whatever it is, whatever you want, the bag of money, the perfect partner, the perfect life, the perfect house, the perfect career, whatever it is, it will be realized instantaneously.
Yeah, I always like to look at like the free concept too. And this is why you'll as an avid online shopper, just the marketing aspect of free shipping. If you spend $300, you get free shipping. It's like, oh, but I only really wanted to buy one thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, but I need to spend $300 because then I get free shipping, even though I'm spending $250 more instead of just paying $5 for shipping. I get free shipping, and then you get it, and you go like, wait a second. I really didn't want to spend $300, but I got free shipping,
right.
And they do that, just that word, that linguistic, that imprint and that feeling that you get when somebody says, do you want something for free?
Well,
and you go, oh, yes, I do. And it's like, here's a free pen. And you're like, yes. And then you're like, I don't care. Why do I want a free pen? But just that gateway, that entryway that you're talking about, that's how easy you can dip in to somebody's unconscious.
And and so this valid point that I was getting to, where she's creating this Pied Piper effect, where everyone is rippling when you're in an audience in a stadium, and it's literally like a rippling effect. Rippling effect, dynamic effect,
mirroring
the universe. I don't know. Well, this is very coincidental. And so, just like Jade said, the mirroring. So, how poetic is it? It's like the mirroring neurons. The mirror neurons within your brain is what is doing the job for you, and how you become the maestro. This is how getting different shifting change of consciousness and how you can project your thought, feelings, and emotion instantly as the field realized in equal to or greater than materializing magic healing manifestation. So what happens is, this guy was talking about this, and he was like, oh, the black mirror, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, you're a grandmaster, I get it. I'm a Taoist master. I don't know personally what the difference is. I've never been given the grand master title. The Taoist master title comes from the fact that I'm a lineage holder of 2 Taoist sects. One, I'm a 66th generation lineage holder. The other one, I'm a 126th generation lineage holder. So I'm not so sure where the grand comes from, but in any case, you're talking about something that is universally a little bit more elementary in of its nature. So he started to talk deeper about this. Okay, I'm using this black mirror magic where I'm going to have this person and I'm going to get them to do whatever I want them to do. And I was just like, And you know what was really reminiscent of this, which I thought was funny, was he was talking about something that you understand from a synchronization, because synchronicity-wise, when you are suggestible, when you're emotional, you're suggestible. If you try this exercise at home, guys.
I have a good one for this.
Right. Try this exercise at home. So we do this a lot with our kids at night when we want them all to go to sleep. You go in, you turn the lights out. Our kids are we're all linked, but they're really linked. So if you get one, you get them all. It's like a dominoes effect. So it's like bang, 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 bang. So you get one, you hold them in your arms, the lights out, and part of synchronizing and accessing this state of consciousness and how this is why hypnosis is so powerful. This is why mirroring is so powerful. Understanding that you're, besides whether you can see it or not, I can see the auras, and depending on your clairvoyant senses, you will develop it to where you will see it. The magnetic field is interconnected. As you are the field, you are me, I am you. You synchronize. So you take one, you synchronize with the kid. You start with the respiration. You mimic the respiration. Now you're linked with their respiration. Now all of a sudden, if you take a deep breath, they take a deep breath. And you're like, whoa, man, this is crazy. And so then all of a sudden you slow down your breath. You slow down your heart rate using your consciousness, your attention, intention. And they slow down their heart rate. Then you just drop into, I want you, and you say it without even saying it. You don't have to say, you say it in your mind without using an audible. Drop into Delta. And they will drop into Delta. They will go straight to sleep, and then all the kids will go boom, 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 boom. And you're like, man, whew, that was worth 30 years of training. and it is, because I think I stole Jade's thunder right now, because she was going to give you that story.
No, I was going to say, like, especially like whether you see it on TV or in person, like when they, find someone at the EMTs or something, find someone in like a car accident and they're freaking out and they're hyperventilating, and they'll like hold them by the shoulders and they'll be like, okay, take deep breath with me.
Right.
And they do it in front of that person, and they get, face to face with them. Yeah.
Man, your breath smells, bro.
But you know what I mean? And that's, I don't even know consciously whether they're aware that that's what they're doing, but to get that person to kind of like snap out of that, incoherence, and they take the deep breaths and go, okay, calm down, I'm here, breathe with me, breathe the same way I'm breathing, and then that person and it's an instant.
And this is what we call pacing and leading.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is what anyone does. You want to talk about a motivational speaker, you want to talk about a cult leader, you want to talk about a politician, you want to talk about a pastor, you want to it comes from pacing and leading, and then you synchronize with your audience, instantaneously creating what we call a rapport. And so that instantly puts you in that state, and you're able to then synchronized with the audience, and then so everything that comes out of your mouth imprinted with energy, frequency, vibration is felt by the audience using your neurology, your soft technology, your mirror neurons are replicating it all. And it's being put out to the audience, and literally you have an audience of 1,000 people. And this is kind of like part and parcel, in essence, how I do a group healing. If I do 1,000 people, you do this at once. Everyone comes in with their own ailments. It doesn't matter what it is. They become synchronized. And literally, as you drop into these different states of consciousness, instantaneously, boom, everyone heals. And they'll come in with anything. Brain tumors, cancer, this, that, whatever. And the amount of reports of, I had this problem, this problem, and it's all gone, is just endless. You witness it with your own eyes. Oh, this person had this and now they're doing this. And this all happens in a matter of minutes through the healing. So the mirror neurons are really powerful. Your soft technology is really powerful, understanding how the
respiration.
Well, the respiration is a link to that. And so that's why Qigong is so powerful for Taoists, with Nigong, moving energy with your mind, so it becomes visually palpable, right? So understanding how that works. So when this Grand Master, whatever his name was, did this and was talking to this parapsychologist, I was kind of like taken back a little bit, because the parapsychologist had never even thought of or had heard of anything like that, which I find really strange, because if you put that scenario in front of someone who's an NLP coach, it'd be like, oh yeah, that's mirroring. I never did, yeah. I use that, I throw in a metaphor, and pa-boom, I've got this guy barking like a dog. No, that's not the answer. But what happens is you drop into that where you're offline, and that's where people manipulate you. So you want to master the coherence, which gives you complete consciousness, where you're now taking back, and this is why I always talk about the way 126. It's a visual audible experience creating a kinesthetic response, and you are now activating a gamma brainwave, which gives you 100% consciousness, enveloping the whole brain, accessing any brainwave, so that you are pliable, you are creative, you affect change instantaneously. These things are what you get access to.
Right. And you create that coherence.
And you create it. And so
you train it.
Right. And you train, and so it becomes palpable, where you're able to use what you would perceive as your mind to generate something, and you're able to, like, it's like having, a board in front of you, or a dart board, and you could literally throw a dart in all different directions at dozens of different things, and you'll be able to transmute equally the same amount of energy, frequency, vibration, and will have the same effect on all things at once. And that's a mastery of Nigong. It's a very powerful mastery. And you get that when you're using the Way 126. That's part of the mastery that you acquire just through your own training. When you look at it on a much deeper level, so when he was talking about this, and he's using Black Mirror, and I was really surprised the parapsychologist had not even heard of that. He was like, oh, you tell me more. And then this guy was like, I've left things out to protect people from not using it for nefarious. I'm like, if you listen to this guy's story, he was literally going, yeah, I go into cafes and I puppet master people, and then I walk past after I put them in a trance, sitting in a difference in a peripheral. Now, understanding when you're in a peripheral, the peripheral means basically this. Most mentalists will create the illusion of certain things by putting things in your peripheral. So when I tell you you're taking in all day, every day, you're taking in between 140 to 200,000 points of information all day long. Forget about what you're focusing on. It's all the stuff you're taking in the unconscious. This is going on all day long. Regardless of whether you want to or not, you are one big computer processor, right? So you're taking this stuff in. So what will happen is a classic one, and I do this just, as a sample for people, is like you write a few words on your hand, right? And you'll be like, walk up to someone and go, do you know where the local bar is, or the pub, or do you know anywhere around here? And this person will be like, oh, yeah, go down the street here. Now, I put the word apple on my hand here. All I did was point over here. They're looking at me, but the word apple goes into their unconscious from a peripheral level. And then I go, hey, have you heard of party tricks? And they're like, what are you talking about? Well, I'm a bit of a magician. They're like, oh, really? Well, before I go off to this bar, can I try something on you? And they'll be like, sure. I want you to think of something, anything. And of course, now you've already imprinted the word apple. So the catalyst effect is you've put the word apple into their peripheral. You then consciously project the word apple into their mind. Then when you ask them what to think of, they will think of apple. And then when you go, have you thought of the word? And they'll be like, yeah, yep, 100%. And then you go, is it apple? Oh my God, how did you know? How was that possible? How did you... Now, that is 100% a manipulation of your peripheral. Now there's direct thought form projection, which you would do to your girlfriends, to your mother, to your best friends. And they're like, what? I don't manipulate my friends. How dare you? Listen, have you got a cell phone? Yeah. Okay. Have you ever looked at your cell phone and went, man, I haven't talked to my mom in a couple of months. And then 5 seconds later, your mother's calling you. That is what I'm talking about. Once your attention intention affects the wave to matter, the particle, no matter what it is, whatever you're putting out into the universe, it's being heard. Be very clear on this. Know this, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. It's out there. And so when you're not having emotional content to it, where you're sitting there, please, I need to talk to my mother. Can she please call me? And you just think about her, and that message is met in the universe. She hears it, and then she responds with, I should call my son up. Hey, what's going on, Johnny Bob? Or whatever your name might be. You've had that moment, right? That moment of coincidence, synchronicity. And so that's how easy it is to affect change. And like when it comes to distance healing, this is just part of the mechanisms of activating what we call the entanglement, which is the quantum, where you're able to be on one side of the world and I'm on the other, and I can transmit an energetic healing that will effectively affect your DNA at a DNA level, subatomic level, and get an instant healing. And you're like, how is that possible? Because everything's interconnected. That's that 0 point energy. That's that entanglement using that black hole singular energy that connects all things, all these little invisible, unobtainable by the naked eye dots that are in front of you that create the depth of energy that's between me and you that doesn't exist.
And that's, again, why we emphasize how important the linguistics are and what linguistics you use, because all those messages and transfers are being put out there. So, when you're looking at your kids and they're climbing up the walls and they're throwing a tantrum and you're going, oh my God, you're killing me right now. Mm-hmm. It's like that's these linguistics. Oh, this is such hard work. I'm struggling. I'm having such a bad day. All of these linguistics are connecting to the field, being put out there, being magnetized to what you're putting out.
And that's how finely tuned you are, and that's how quickly you are. Your power of manifestation, healing, and magic is instantaneous using just simple things like placebo, nocebo, understanding the principles of that, which is almost, it's an insult to even use those as principles, because that's the foundation of all things. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. Understand that, know that to be true. When you realize that, then you become the master keeper creator of your reality. And so when he went back, and I'm going to go back on this guy, and he said this thing, the thing I found really interesting, there's a really incredible mentalist illusionist, which I know he's using higher levels of consciousness, and definitely the fundamental understanding of quantum physics. He's not just using mind trickery, magic, a few psychological tools. And when you start reading energy and information in the field, this is part and parcel. This is what they call psychokinetics, which is another sensory perception. Telekinesis, psychokinetics, clairvoyance. These are all sensory perceptions. You're just leveling up your filter and what you want to receive for information. It's all right there in front of you. And so when he was telling this parapsychologist this story, I went to the cafe and I did it. He literally was taking, it was almost as if he might have even stole this story from somebody. I'm kind of thinking, I know it's true. I can do that exactly what he says he was doing, and I'm pretty sure he could probably do it. But it was more how he obtained the story. It's just shifting people into consciousness. Understand this. When you're able to shift into consciousness that quickly, it's not a negative thing to be hypnotizable. Which everyone is. If you're a human being and you have 5 senses, you have the ability to hit that trance. And the trance gives you the pliability. That's your access point to all things. Don't dismiss it and make yourself feel like, oh my goodness, I must be so stupid if I can be hypnotized. No, you're all powerful. Right there, my friend. That is your moment to realize that you can access anything and change anything at will. You can create, manifest, heal, all of the above. The faster you can shift into that consciousness, the more powerful you are, and the more you can obtain that access like that. Anyway, so the story was reminiscent of this guy named Darren Brown. And Darren Brown specifically did exactly that. And that's why I thought, this story is far too much like a story, not only that I heard, that I've seen, because it was in one of his specials where he showed him doing exactly that. Now, I'm not really a fan of someone doing that because that's manipulating people. And of course, what he did was he did it to this guy, and then after the fact, once he got the footage, he told this guy, and then he said, hey, look, I'm sorry, but I did this to you. Is that all right? I'll give you $1,000. Can I put your video footage? And of course, oh, you're Darren Brown. Yeah, of course. But, the idea that someone would do this with ill intent, which there are a lot of manipulators out there. Sure. I'm not a fan of that. So you do this for healing, and your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned. My truth is all things that I teach, all things that I share, all things that I create are for the highest, most profound level of consciousness. Now, once you hit those frequencies, your thoughts in your so-called mind that doesn't exist are not with the ideas of manipulating people. You go straight to the page of how can you raise someone's vibration, frequency, and energy so they can attain a higher level of consciousness. So this low-level infantile manipulation garbage is for the novice, is for wannabe manipulators, and they're the ones that are the easiest to switch and switcheroo around on. And so when you deal with the master, and I come across people like that, it's always funny to shift the energy around on them. But, look, when it comes down to the understanding of the bigger picture, your respiration is the gateway into obtaining high levels of consciousness, and that there is no right or wrong way. Understand, when you get into heightened states, you're not breathing from your physical body anymore. You are breathing as the field. The field is you. You are the field. Know this to be true. Do not be mistaken. And so all these people, you get to that state. And so the breathing, everyone goes, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. If you do this, you're going to die. Blah, 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 blah. You got to stop. Because, again, you are coming from a very limited place. And let's start with something as simple as fear. And you know from everything that I share on this channel, if you come from a place of fear, you don't come from a place of healing. If you come from a place of fear, you don't come from a place of knowing. If you come from a place of fear, you do not come from a place of manifestation. So fear is an emotion. Emotion is an incoherence. And incoherence creates the suggestibility. So it's like, look over here, over here. So it's one of those things where do not make the mistake of letting the emotional content control your behavior. And once you master that, all bets are off. You're leveling up at dramatic rates. And that's why we created the 126, to give people, empower people,
Yes.
to get them to their highest level of consciousness so they can manifest, they can heal, they can create, they can cast magic, whatever they want to do. Being highly conscious is the new pink, because it's all yours, baby. You are enveloping it as a whole. We want you 100% conscious and being able to master and create whatever it is that you want, when you want, how you want.
Right. You're no longer being mastered. You are the master.
Yes. And so understand this, when you're watching the news or any type of hype, there's that manipulation that's going on, and you're being subject to it. So anyone that heightens your emotions may very well, and this is not in, I repeat myself, we are not working from a duality, but understand that if you are in a place where someone's hyping up your emotions and it starts with fear, take a moment and take a deep breath and realize that you possibly could be, being misdirected, potentially. But moreover, you should stop and not be so concerned about, why. Just don't. It's like, oh, I have this, I'm being invited to be emotional and heightened. No, thank you. And that just instantly gives you the power back. You become empowered once more. And so, respiration, as we know it. That was a lot.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. That was a lot. That's what we do here. We give you every angle. Spiritual, mental, emotional. You name it, we got it, baby. Right here. Sharing with you. Getting you to level up. Getting you to be highly conscious and understand that there are 1,000 different angles to this stuff. And they're all for you. If you hang out with us, you ride along, you're a 126, you're just a visitor of the channel, you're a subscriber of the channel, you're a subscriber of the app, whatever it is, we're here for you to level up your consciousness. And if you hang out with us, you're going to do just that, because that's what we do, baby. So respiration-wise, there are thousands of different. And so when we talk about primordial breathing or embryonic breathing, that's exactly what we're talking. We're breathing from the field. We are the field. We're breathing from the bones. We're breathing from the whole, not compartmentalized, not separated. Oh, we're breathing from our lungs. No, not at all. And so, we'll do a little exercise here that will just give you instant. And so, as you start to master yourself, you start to realize your attention, intention becomes far more palpable and laser focused. And, through all the things that we share here or through the app will give it to you like this. You'll be able to put your attention, intention to whatever it is, and through your respiration, concentrate and condense that energy. And so when we get you to hold, that's the culmination. So from a Taoist cultivation, breath in, breath out, yin-yang, right? Between that, the stillness is the Wu-Ji. That is the Tao. And so when we get you to do any type of respiration, there's a breathe in and a breathe out, and then there's a hold. And when you hold, all of a sudden, woof, what's going on here? I'm burning up. It's like you feel a condensing of that energy in whatever direction we want it to be, whatever direction you want it to be. It is materialized and it is concentrated like a laser beam. Oh, yeah.
We always work in threes.
So a simple one today is we're going to breathe in, breathe out, and hold. Condense the energy in the upper Dantian, or the sun. And the keeper of the sun is supreme purity. We're going to breathe in, breathe out, hold the condensed energy of the earth. We're going to hold it. And it's the keeper is jade purity. And then finally, we're going to breathe in, breathe out, hold, condensing the energy in the lower Dantian, which is the moon. And the keeper of that is highest purity. And so, the three correlated elements are diamond, ruby, and emerald. And so just me saying that, you feel the energy, and that becomes pliable because it's already out there. This is, you are experiencing things that are thousands of years old, ladies and gentlemen, ladies. That's why it's so palpable. That's why it's so tangible. And you're like, holy moly, how is that happening? What's going on? That's the power of what we speak of, because you're immersing yourself in things that have been cultivated and practiced for thousands of years before your incarnation right now in this lifetime. So the street cred on this is thousands of years old. So you get to gather all the energy that millions of people before you have gathered, bringing you to this point. Oh yeah.
That's the density.
And that's the density. That's what it is. And so what I'll do is I will call in the spirit and energy of the sun, and then we'll breathe in and then out. So you'll breathe in, you'll just sort of sip in, and then out. So it's a shorter breath on the way in through the nose, longer breath on the way out. Same will go for the middle and then the lower. And so all I'm going to do is call it in. And what you will come to find is you will have your visual experience. And so I've given you what the elements are, what the keepers are, what the energy is, and your visualization will be created. It won't be a visualization. It will be a reality. So it'll be in that order. I'm going to call in the spirit and energy of the sun. Then we're going to breathe in, breathe out, and we're going to hold it for 9 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, ladies. And with that, I'm going to palpate that energy in a clockwise fashion, which you will feel. So, with that said, let's any closing thoughts or feelings or emotions that you want to share with us, Jade?
I think we said so many things today. We went over a lot. There was a lot packed in there.
There was.
All good. All
very good. Very constructive.
Yeah, very helpful.
You got everything. You got spiritual. You got, mental, emotional. You got energetics. You got ancient practices. You got all this other gobbledygook that they think is reinvented from something that's thousands of years. I'll stop now.
No, I think I'm ready.
You're ready. All right. So all the ladies and gentlemen and ladies at home, you can either shut a sense off, close your eyes, open your eyes, whatever you prefer, because you're leveling up on your consciousness, you're leveling up on your sensory perception, which can transmute into all different things, clear senses of all kinds, any type of psychic capabilities, channeling, mediumship. All this stuff is all sort of compartmentalized. They're just different grades of consciousness. That's it. So, with that, we will have you guys get into position, and I'm going to call in the spirit and energy of the sun. Take a breath in. Hold it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Now we're going to call in the spirit and energy of the earth. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. And finally, I'm going to call in the spirit and energy of the moon. Inhale. Exhale. Hold it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Now I just want you to sit with those three energies as they link up, synchronizing in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bam! Sit with that as I spin the energy around the room in a clockwise fashion. And that's right. And just let yourself oscillate with that as your breath is now a part of the field, making your whole physical body this amber. So as you respirate, you feel this pulsation, and that is the creation that you have made in your sensory perception, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. I want you to sit with that hair dryer up your spine, the heat generated from the energy itself. These are all levels up that you have created through your own practice, through your own awareness, through your own consciousness that you have created here. Oh my goodness. And anyone that can hear me in a distance, stay where you are. Anyone more present, just allow your unconscious to lead you and slowly bring you back to where you need to be. And that could be in the next minute, could be in the next hour. Just move with the energy and receive all things as they are. And I will say, I'm your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn. And I will see you on the next one, guys.